Hello, guys, and welcome to the Marigold Standard, your weekly audio source of all things Dream, Star, Fighting, Marigold. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin. I am joined, as ever, by the passion himself. It is Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how are you, good sir?
I'm great, brother. I'm great. Always good chatting with you. Some Marigold standards, some really great stuff. Obviously, we only have one show to talk about, but boy, howdy, what a show! What a show from start to finish. Excellent show and a jam-packed Korakuen Hall, my man. But no, everything's well. How's things your neck of the woods? How was your weekend, my man?
Yeah, not too bad. It was Mother's Day this Sunday, so spent a little bit of time with my mum. I said I've spent a little bit of time with my mum. I went to Newcastle, which is where I say we're from, but where my brother was born, which is about a 5.5 hour drive, which I know for American listeners, they're like, oh, okay, that's fair enough. For British drivers, they're like, that's ridiculous. What on earth are you doing? But as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, our football team, which I know has wound Darren Chatton up no end, finally won a trophy after, hi, Darren, love you, buddy. After 70 years, yes, 7 decades, we are quite literally the Detroit Lions. We don't win anything at all, and we finally won a trophy. It was great. So they announced that they were going to do an open top bus parade through the streets of Newcastle. My brother's like, we've got to go. I was like, yeah, Sam, we'll go. That's a great idea. So we got up 5:30 in the morning, got on the train, went up there, watched the bus parade, had a great time. And then, Matt, we tried to get back. We booked seats on the train. It was the last train to leave Newcastle. I don't know if we got them seats, because I am not joking. I have never been so well acquainted with people on a train in my life. To say that we were sardines in this, there was 12 people in the toilet. They were trying to cramp it. At one point, the bloke on the train station is physically pushing people into the train to try and get people onto it. It was rammed. Absolutely rammed. I've got a small child under my armpit. Don't know whose child it was, but it was there.
It was Yuzuki.
It was Yuzuki. It grew up to be Yuzuki. Imagine what a tie-in. I'd got people behind me. I'd got one in my bag. It felt like it was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. What on earth is happening? And people are like, oh, this always happens. This doesn't. I'm like, this is a fire hazard, is what it is.
That's what I was thinking of.
And then the doors wouldn't shut because there was too many people on the train. I was like, this is great. So they're like, some of you are going to have to get off. And I was like, yeah, all right. No, this is the last train home. I'm not, no. I've got a football match tomorrow. I am committed to playing football anyway. We got home eventually. There was some horrendous people on that train. I'm not going to lie. Shout out to the man from Leeds who tried and failed multiple times to get the entire carriage to sing songs at 1 a.m. Yes, shout out to you. But I got home, played football the next morning, and we lost 1-0. But yes, I went home, spent some time with dear Mama Goodwin, and I fell asleep on the floor for about 2 hours, and apparently was snoring very loudly. So happy Mother's Day, Nettie. But yes, apart from that, everything was good, my friend. How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. Saturday was a little bit low key. Got a lot done as far as the shows goes and whatnot. And then Sunday was another busier day at the restaurant. And then ready to rock and roll, my man. Just pummeling through as we are just a little over 2 weeks away from Las Vegas, which I'm so looking forward to. All of the great wrestling and all the running around we're gonna have to try to do to try to catch some autograph sessions because. Yeah, it is going to be, especially that Saturday, my man. Especially that Saturday, we're going to go from one venue to the other to see if we can get all of our meet and greets. So not only with the Stardom wrestlers, but obviously we have the Tony Storm meet and greet. I'd like to get a Minoru Suzuki in there, and maybe even the Young Stallions. We'll see how that works out. But can't imagine the lines for Paul Roman, Jim Powers will be too long. But again, that's akin to my 1980s love for pro wrestling, and especially in the tag division. But no, my weekend was good, buddy. You know me, bad days don't exist. We just keep trucking along, my friend. Keep trucking along. But yeah, brother, I'm glad everything's well. I'm glad that you had a chaotic weekend, it sounds like, but I'm glad that you survived, my man.
I must admit, I didn't feel like it. We'd had a really bad Burger King as well beforehand. And when food doesn't quite sit right, we'd had these I don't know if they might do these in America, the chicken fries, where literally they're just chicken fingers, basically.
Yeah.
And they coat them in Doritos. And they were flaming hot Doritos. Now, Matt, these were fantastic. In a way, they were fantastic going in. To say that they were not fantastic sitting inside me is a little bit of an understatement. But when you are physically mouth to mouth with people in this carriage, you're like, I am going to explode. And I can't do that because there are lots and lots of people around. Again, they'd crammed 12 people into the toilet compartment of the train, which is just absolute madness. On my way up to Newcastle, my brother's like, why don't we do this more often? Why don't we do this more often? On the way back, he was like, I never want to do this again. I never want to do this again. It was a mistake. I was like, I agreed. But it was good while we were there.
That's like the people that are like, I want to go to New York City for when the ball drops for New Year's. I want to go to, I know about a dozen people. They're like, yeah, one and done. It's a good story to tell, but never again. Because you literally have to rent out like a square and you have to stand there for like 12 hours. And you forget, I'm going to get hammered or this, that, and the other thing. Like, no, you can't leave that square. Like you literally, like that's your reserve. You cannot leave there until after the ball drops. So, yeah, again, I know about a dozen or so people that went and did it and like, yeah, never again. I'm like, no, I'm good sitting at home reading comics, watching the Twilight Zone marathon. So
yeah, I must admit, New Year's has never really been like, I've never gone out and got absolutely battered at New Year's, simply because if you try and go out at New Year's, like you can't move. Like there's no way you're getting a drink or anything. So I'd rather just sit at home with people I actually like.
I did. I think me and Paul told you our time warp story at New Year's about 20 years ago, right? Yeah, we were playing beer pong, and literally the class of our president, the girl that was in our high school, she was president of our class, who I haven't seen in a couple of years. She was there, so we were yucking it up. So after playing hours of beer pong and drinking $8 tequila, yes, that you'd pour on your car and it would chip the paint off. Long story short, I looked at her. I said, hey Bernie, let me know when the ball drops. I want to go in the other room and watch it. And they're like, it's 3:30 in the morning. We thought it was 11. Yeah, we lost 4 hours of time. That's what happens back in my early 20s, drinking with, as we call him, Uncle Paul.
Oh, what a guy. What a guy Paul is. But yes, something great coming from this weekend was obviously this Marigold Korakuen show, which aired at 3:30 English Standard Time in the morning, which I was actually still awake for because of this goddamn train. So I actually could have watched it live, but opted to try and get the few hours that I could of sleep. But Matt, before we delve into the couple of bits of news that we're going to be talking about, mainly in relation to Nanae Takahashi's produce show, what a show! And we were talking about, briefly before we recorded. This is one of the most hyped I've been for a Marigold show in a long, long time. Not to say other Marigold shows were bad. It's just a compliment to how good this show was, from top to bottom as well. It really did feel like there was no filler at all. And this is a show that had both Gigaton and Megaton on it. Just want to quickly point that out. On the same team. And that match was great as well. It was really, really good. Top to bottom, fantastic card. For my mind, the best top to bottom Korakuen Hall show they've done. There's been better matches on Korakuen Hall shows. That Arrivederci show that they did for Julia was tremendous. Obviously the opening Marigold Feels Forever show was fantastic. But in terms of top to bottom show where every match hit, and again, you've got undercard tags there, which was still really, really, really good. I think this show was really, really good. Really, really one of the most I've been excited for in a long, long time.
Yeah, and every member of the roster came out looking better. Obviously we'll get into it. Especially obviously before we hit the record button, Nagisa Tachibana, I think wrestled 1 or 2 matches and she was out with injury.
Take a bow, Nagisa Tachibana.
Yeah, the MVP of that match. But again, yeah, we'll get into it. Just a great show. Just a fantastic show. And again, shout outs to Sonny and Stu, our friends over there, because they did a phenomenal job on commentary. I'm still waiting. Every time Sakurai goes to the top rope, I'm like, please say the good one elbow drop. Please say the good one elbow drop. A lot of times I watch these shows like on my iPad just because of where I'm at. I was on my lunch break. I was literally sitting in my car and I literally went like this, for YouTube listeners. I was like, just climbing the top rope. Is he going to say it? Is he going to say it? because obviously, we go back and forth with talking to Sonny. We haven't heard from him in a while, but it was, he knows about the Goodwin elbow drop. Like, oh, is he gonna say it?
He does know about the Goodwin elbow drop.
He didn't do it. He didn't do it. I get
one
super
day
jazzed.
One day it's
gonna happen. It's gonna, you're gonna be like, you didn't hear what he said. I'm like, damn right. Yeah, again, really, really great show, and it's gonna be really interesting. And not only was it a great show, they set up a lot of stuff moving forward, which is Rossi Ogawa booking one-on-one. You have a great show in front of one of your biggest houses in quite some time in Korakuen Hall, and hey, let's set up the next Korakuen, and that's what they did here.
Yeah, there's some really good matches heading into that Korakuen. Obviously, we've got a Superfly Championship match set up as well, which won't be on that Korakuen, but it's something we can look forward to on the Rising Spirit tour, because the Spring Victory Series, I can never get those names right. The Spring Victory Series ends on April 12th, and then we get into the Rising Spirit Tour, and I wonder if that sort of start is where we're going to get that Superfly Championship match, which we're going to be talking about very, very shortly. But before we delve into that Korakuen Hall show, I just want to go into a little bit of news. And again, this mainly centers around Nanae Takahashi's Passion Produce show on April 14th. Feels like ages since we've done a Marigold standard, Matt. That's entirely my fault. But it's good to be back doing this again. But yes, Nanae Takahashi, during the press conference where they announced the full card for this Korakuen Hall event we're going to be talking about, they did also announce the full card for Nanae Takahashi's Passion Produce show that's going to be called All's Well That Ends Well. That's going to be on April 14th in Shinjuku Face. The full card is as follows. Nanae Takahashi and Momo Nakanishi. They will be teaming together against Seri Yamaoka and Victoria Yuzuki. Hiroya Matsumoto will be taking on Chika Goto. Miyuki Takase and Miku Ano will be taking on Yumika Hata and Miku Kanai. That's going to be a really good match. And then Nanae Takahashi is going to be wrestling again. Nanae Takahashi, Mirai, and Yu versus Chihiro Hashimoto, Ryu Mizunami, and Rina Yamashita. That's going to be a very, very good 6-1 match. Now, those 4 matches were announced later on that same day. Nanae Takahashi had a singles match with Zones at Pro Wrestling Evolution. And basically, after the match, Nanae was that impressed that she was like, you need to be on my produce show. Zones was like, absolutely. Who have you got for me? Utami Hayashishita. So it will be Zones versus Utami Hayashishita added to this card. I know that tickets are selling very, very well for this. I believe that the show is going to be airing on Wrestle Universe. It's being sort of advertised as a Marigold show. It's not. It is Nanae Takahashi's produce show. But the way it's being advertised, I'm hoping that it is going to be on Wrestle Universe. It'd surprise me if it's not, Matt.
Yeah, my guess would be because of her great relationship with Rossi Ogawa. And obviously, Rossi has the contract with Wrestle Universe that when she was putting this together, and I wouldn't be shocked if this was Rossi's idea. Like, hey, you want to do your own show, right? Before you retire. My guess is they probably got the rights over to Wrestle Universe. That would make most sense. Or if they wanted as many eyes as possible, they throw it for free on YouTube, like we've seen Stardom do from time to time, or even like Sendai Girls or not Sendai Girls. Some other wrestling companies do them from time to time, put it on YouTube. But my guess would be this is going to go up on Wrestle Universe, which means then we can review it, brother.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to that. Some really good matches there. Like I say, Nana Momo reforming one night only against Seri Yamaoka and Victoria Yuzuki. We did think that that fantastic match at Shinjuku Face was not going to be the last time that Nanae and Victoria Yuzuki would share a ring, and it's not going to be. That tag match is going to be great because I've seen Momo Nakanishi in a ring for Stardom, and she can still go. It's quite scary how well she can still go despite having been retired for how long. I'm really intrigued by this Chika Goto match as well. And Chika Goto is someone that I'm going to be talking a little bit about during the Korakuen Hall review. And actually, I briefly want to revisit Ibaraki as well, because there was a moment there that I'm interested to get your take on. But her versus Hiroya Matsumoto is going to be really, really good because, again, since Chika Goto has come back, since she's come back really from the 3rd of January, she's been relying less and less and less on shtick, if you will, on, the hip attacks and things like that. And she's been showing a real fire and a real desire. And I don't know whether that's just because she's been teaming with Natsumi Shozuki, who is literally the definition of no frills wrestling, or whether it's just because, she's channeling that frustration from First Dream. But yeah, I'm intrigued by that match as well. Matt, overall, what are you thinking of this card?
Well, yeah, it's like a really solid enough card. And where's this taking? Is this Korakuen?
This is Shinjuku Face.
Shinjuku Face, that's right. Yeah, okay, that's a loud venue because of the acoustic,
It
everything
is,
is
yeah.
so yeah. So that it adds to the atmosphere. But now, really, really good stuff. Having Nanae Takahashi team with their old partner there. I believe they teamed up at that, not the Dream Tag Festival, but the show they did before, where they had like a lot of the legends.
The Legend Fest, yeah.
Yeah, Legends Fest. Where I think it was the day before that Dream Tag Fest a couple years ago, where they teased Kandori versus Tam, and they never came through with it. But yeah, I mean, obviously she can still go. I think she's got another run in her, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see something great here from her, and that she does come back for a few shots for Marigold maybe sometime in the summer, because yeah, she can still go. So I'm super excited for that. Everything looks really good. Hiro Matsumoto versus Chikagoto is going to be a great learning experience from Chikagoto, because Hiro Matsumoto, she's been around the block quite a few times, and the best way possible. She's fantastic, so she'll learn a lot there. And poor Zones, it's like, yeah, absolutely, I'll come to your show. I'm like, yeah, guess who you're gonna wrestle? Something we're gonna talk about a lot today, my man. One Utami Hayashisa, the Red Queen, and spoilers, the World of Marigold champion.
Yeah, she really did pull out all the stops. And again, full credit to her and Bozilla for having to follow what was a raucous tag team match and still put on an absolutely blistering match. Just again, sort of sticking with the theme of Nanae Takahashi, on the 29th of March, so on Saturday, Nanae was in Korakuen again, this time as a part of Ice Ribbon's March 2025 show. She was in a 6-woman tag. The team of Hanako Nakamori, Makoto, and Hamuka Hoshi, who we saw in the First Dream Rumble, they defeated the team of Nanae Takahashi, Yuna Manas, and Totoro Satsuki in 14 minutes and 48 seconds. Makoto getting the pinfall over Satsuki with the buzzsaw kick in 14 minutes and 48 seconds. Nanae was presented with a lovely bouquet of flowers afterwards as well. And again, I said this on the last Marigold Standard that we did together. It's going to be really sad when Nanae retires, because actually she's still so damn good in the ring. And again, we're going to be talking about that tag match, which again, she was phenomenal in. And you look at her and go, she's retiring in just over a month, or, just under 2 months. And she could easily go for another year, 18 months, 2 years. She's that good. But actually, on the flip side of that, having her retire on her terms, which so many wrestlers aren't able to do, it is a refreshing thing to see, and actually makes me feel very, very happy for her as well, Matt.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. She's going to go out on her own terms, and she's going out. We talk about all the time on this show that's the best. This year run that she's had with Marigold's the best run she's had in a long time. She looks revigorated. She looks rejuvenated working with the younger talent, having great matches. So, yeah, again, good on her. She's going out while she can still produce really, really good matches. And sometimes the wrestlers, we see quite a bit where they're wrestling into like their late 50s or 60s when their body's broken down and they really can't do much. And it's just like, yeah, it's cool. It's an attraction, but you're not getting what you would get out of said wrestler. Or Nanae is wrestling now as good as she ever was, which is saying something, because she is an absolute first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about it.
She is the living legend of Joshi wrestling, and we talk about nicknames. Good God, no one has earned that nickname more than Nanae Takahashi. And again, an absolutely blistering encounter in the semi-main at Korakuen Hall. And let's, Matt, not dilly-dally more than we have to. Let's get straight into this Korakuen Hall show, because goodness gracious me, we've already mentioned it. It was a tremendously fun show. One of the best shows, in my opinion, that Marigold have put on. We're talking, of course, about Spring Victory Series Night 7 from Korakuen Hall. And this was live on Wrestle Universe, complete with English commentary on Sunday, the 30th of March. In terms of the attendance, then, the announced attendance inside Korakuen Hall was 911 people. Now, this is the highest Korakuen Hall attendance for Marigold since Julia's Arrivederci show, which was August 19th. Obviously, Marigold drew 1,450 to that show. It was 8 Korakuen Hall shows ago. They've run 8 Korakuen Halls since that Julia show, and this is the highest since. The 911 people announced is a 17.1% increase on the 778 people drawn to the last show at the venue, which was the 20th of February, Chan Yota and Mai Sakurai for the white belt. It's also the 4th highest Marigold attendance at Korakuen of the 13 times they've run. It's also the 4th to surpass 900 people. So a really, really, really good number. And we've said before, Matt, that aiming for around 770, 800, maxing out at around 850, especially at the moment, is something that Marigold, I'm sure, will be aiming for. And I think with just a litany of injuries rinsing this lower card for Marigold, I think they've done tremendously well to sort of keep that average up there. But to hit 911 here, you've got 3 very, very, very good title matches and a really good lower card. 3 people returning from injury. Seri Yamaoka is returning from injury. Nagisa Tachibana, Hummingbird. And you've got the intrigue surrounding the marvelous invasion of Marigold. You had a lot going for this show. And it's really, really good to see that they are getting the attendance that the show deserves. Because we've said before that the attendances aren't indicative of the quality on the show by any stretch. There are some really good matches on these cards, and it's nice to see Marigold getting the attendance that they deserve for what was a fantastic show.
Yeah, a lot of this too has to, again, the whole entire show was great. We're going to about get into it, but if you look at it on paper, the big drawing on this was Utami versus Bozilla. And like 5 out of the last 6 shows, it was Utami versus Bozilla across the ring from each other. So again, you're teasing. You have your big giant heel monster against your ace in the company. So again, I mean, you take a look at the 2 other title matches. You had again, if you only watch Marigold, you don't know who the wrestlers in Marvelous are. So it's like, okay, that's a complete unknown. Obviously, with Arena in the United National Championship match, we haven't seen her in a singles match before. So that's a complete unknown. So again, we're going to get into it. This whole show was phenomenal. The stock of every single wrestler went up on said show, but like 911 people with that 17% increase, a lot of that has to go on the shoulders of Utami Hayashishita and Bozilla, and the fact that Rossy Ogawa gave this match time to breathe, not match, but basically built it up, gave it time to breathe. And just about every single main event or co-main event of the last 5 or 6 shows, it was Team Utami versus the Darkness Revolution Army, which Bozilla is a part of, and just about every occurrence. So it's like you're getting a little. So again, a lot of this attendance, the 911 people, just goes to show you just how the massive stars that Utami Hayashishita and Bozilla are.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Let's go into the results of this show then. So we open with a tag team match. The returning Hummingbird and Riara defeated the returning Nagisa Tachibana and Ryoko Sakimura Hummingbird, surprising Tachibana with the European clutch in 5 minutes and 39 seconds. In a tag team match, Ria Seto and Manami Yuki defeated Celine Flora, Victoria Yuzuki, and Kazuna Tanaka, with Ria Seto pinning Kazuna Tanaka with the Osawai suplex in 9 minutes and 31 seconds. In a tag team match, the Darkness Revolution team of Misa Matsui and Chiaki, who've got a new dance, by the way, defeated Natsumi Shozuki and Chika Goto, with Misa Matsui pinning Natsumi Shozuki for the first time with a European clutch in 10 minutes and 24 seconds. 6-woman tag match, Mirai Mikawano and... Why have I started? My note, just says Mirai Mikawano and defeated Darkness Revolution, Nagisa Nozaki, Gigaton, and Megaton. I don't know why I've missed off the last person. Who's the other person in this tag match?
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. It was Jumping Jim Bronzell. No, it was Chan Yota.
Of course it was. I don't know why I've missed that off. Yes, Mirai pinning Gigaton with a lariat in 13 minutes and 37 seconds. We then moved on to the first of 3 championship matches, the United National Championship, the untitled. Mai Sakurai defeating Arina Yamanaka with the STF in 11 minutes and 55 seconds. Marigold Twin Star Championships match. Who Doctor Nanae Takahashi and Seri Yamaoka, the champions, defeating Takumi Iroha and Senka Akatsaki with the Aoki clutch in 25 minutes, in 35 seconds. Senka making a lot of fans, I imagine, after this performance, because wow. And then in your main event, the Marigold World Championship on the line, Utami Hayashishita, the champion, defeating Bozilla with a hijack bomb in 19 minutes and 6 seconds. Incredible stuff there. Let's get straight into it, Matt. Then the opening match, Hummingbird and Riara versus Ryoko Sakimura and Nagisa Tachibana. Now, it's not been a great week for Riara. She did get a victory here, of course, partnering with Hummingbird. She was, unfortunately, she is going to be a statistic in Marigold forever. And that statistic is she is the first person in history to be pinned by Megaton. Which is upsetting, I'm sure, for her. It's also the first Megaton singles victory in her 10 singles matches. So, big moment for Megaton. But that aside, I was interested to see how Hummingbird and Nagisa Tachibana were going to do, having both returned from injury. Tachibana, I don't think we've seen since December. Hummingbird has been out since the start of, I believe, since the start of January. I think the 11th of January she went out injured. But Tachibana in particular, like, I'm a big fan of Hummingbird, but Nagisa Tachibana, goodness gracious me, she absolutely launched herself into this match. Looked clean, looked solid. Everything she did connected really, really well. Really, really impressed with what I've seen. Ryoko Sakimura, by the way, who was really working that mat-based style and that submission-based style, which we're going to see in the next match as well with Rhea Seto, really, really, really doing that very, very well and really integrating that more into her moveset. Was really impressed with the 2 rookies here, even though they would ultimately lose.
Yeah, again, Nagisa Takabana, I think she only wrestled 1 or 2 matches before she went out with injury, and she must have been foaming at the mouth to get back because she was great. Timing was good, her footwork was good. Again, considering the fact that she's been out injured, it's not like she's wrestling 2 or 3 years. Like, she only wrestled a few matches, and she went out early with injury, but you can tell that she was ready to come back, and the crowd was ready for her. Again, I always say that you should never really put rookies together because what are they going to learn? This might be, I might be wrong on this one, partner, because Ryoko and Nagisa as a tag team, I thought they were terrific, and I would love to see them team up more. I thought they were great. Obviously, Riara, she plays her role really well, and Hummingbird was excellent. My only little nitpick about this match is it went less than 6 minutes. I wish it would have got 8 or 9, but at the same time, you have 2 wrestlers coming back from injury, and then obviously again Ryoko Sakamura, even though she's been in pretty much every opener since her debut, she's only been wrestling a handful of months, and Riara is still kind of new to the company. So I kind of understand where, they were probably told you have 5 to 6 minutes, so this way it doesn't overstay its welcome. But what this match did, it left you wanting more. If they were to run this one back in a week or 2 and give it 10 or 12 minutes, I would be all for it because they prove that they can have a great match with a longer time to tell their story. I said 3.25 stars. I thought this was great, and the crowd was really into it. A really great way to get this fantastic show started with these 4 fantastic wrestlers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really, really good sort of. It's a really good point to show just how talented these rookies are. Obviously, we've seen quite a lot of Ryoko Sakimura now in these opening matches, but Nagisa Tachibana, as you mentioned, hadn't wrestled that many matches before she went off with the rib injury. So it was really a chance for her to really prove herself. And you're right, you could tell that she was chomping at the bit. And I think she did tremendously well here, really worked well, especially with Riara, who she dominated for large parts of this match, as did Ryoko Sakimura. Hummingbird, it's great to see because she's a really good wrestler to have in your mid card. And yeah, all 4 women worked really well, and it was a really, really good opener. Shout out to the crowd, by the way, the Korakuen Hall crowd, who were into every single match. They were exhausted before that main event, by the way, and still managed to bring it in. Again, credit to Utami and Bozilla for that, because there was so much in that semi-main. Speaking of terrible weeks for Riara, it was a great week for Rhea Seto, who was in the main event for the very first time in Ibaraki. She ate the pinfall, but even so, she was still in the main event. And in this match with a Celine Flora, who we haven't seen tagged together in the longest time, and I have missed them so much. And again, you are against 2 of the most exciting prospects in Marigold. Victoria Yuzuki, who every time she enters a ring seems to just command the spotlight. Kazuna Tanaka, who again has the potential to be one of the best baby faces in Marigold. And yet Rhea Seto we're leaving this match talking about. Can you remember when she debuted at Summer Destiny, Matt? And there was, whether it was some sort of miscommunication or whatever it was with Komomo Minami, and the match fell a bit flat. And I was intrigued to see what was going to happen. And yet here we are now, and she is one of the most exciting people on this roster. And she said before that she wanted to be more than the person who was doing the poses. Okay, there's loads of people that enjoy that type of, I can't remember what it is, JoJo. That's what it is, that enjoy JoJo. However, I want to be a wrestler that people know because of the wrestling I do. And good grief, the work that she did in this match, and no disrespect to Minami Yuki at all, because she played her part really, really well, but this was the Rhea Seto show. This really was. And I put on Twitter just after I'd finished watching this show about how good she was. And so many people have said, I'm on the train. I think she's tremendous. Like, the progress she's made, magnificent. And honestly, I think it's because of the blonde hair.
And the Spider-Man pose.
And the Spider-Man pose.
You see
and
that.
the Spider-Man pose, absolutely.
So great to see Yuzuki and Tanaka back. Obviously, Tanaka's been out with an injury, and Yuzuki's done quite well for herself. You know, obviously she has won
She's
the
all right,
Super Flyweight Championship, having great matches, teaming with Utami Hayashishita. But it's nice to see them back because they were great here. But you're absolutely right. Rhea Seto, they did a great job building this match around Rhea Seto. And once we have the result and the post-match angle, you understand why. That's just smart wrestling booking. Again, Minami Yuki here was great, but the match wasn't about her. It was about the return of Celine Flora and getting Rhea Seto over. And there was great exchanges with Yuzuki and Minami Yuki. There was some phenomenal. This is right up my wheelhouse with the grappling, the catch wrestling, the back and forth submission wrestling between Kazuna Tanaka and Rhea Seto. I hope as they're building towards that super flyweight match coming up that Rhea Seto and Kazuna Tanaka have a proper singles match this way to keep building up Rhea Seto, because that's our Victoria Yuzuki's tag partner is Kazuna Tanaka. So I would love to see Rhea Seto and Tanaka have like a 10-12 minute match, because their styles work so well together. They really do. Great tag work from Celine Flora in this match. Got to really, getting the advantage there with some great tag team wrestling. Getting really good stuff with Minami Yuki. Great psychology with Kazuna Tanaka working over the arm of Rhea Seto for only Rhea Seto to be able to sneak that Tiger Suplex style sliding pin for the win. Didn't see that coming. I thought this would have been a definite win. If I was a betting man, was betting, this would have been one that on these 7 matches, I'm pretty sure Celine Flora is going to take this one. So I was shocked in a good way. And again, it makes sense because we were building Rhea Seto up for Kazuna Tanaka, and I'm all for it, buddy. This was a great match. 3 3/4 stars for me. You're absolutely right. This match was the Rhea Seto show.
Yeah, incredible stuff from her. She obviously challenged Victoria Yuzuki for the Superfly Championship. No confirmation as to when this is going to happen. We obviously know from matches later on the card that it's not going to be at the next Korakuen on the 25th of April. Hopefully, we're going to see it very, very soon, because I'm itching to see Victoria Yuzuki and Rhea Seto and seeing what they can do, especially with this new really aggressive submission game that Rhea Sato has been adopting over the last couple of months. Really, really exciting. And again, maybe it is just in the change of this gear. They noted it on commentary again, that she's come back, she's got this new gear. It feels like a new coat of paint. And you know what? She looks and wrestles tremendously. I'm so excited to see what's next for her. Moving on then, Chiaki and Misa Matsui pinning and defeating Natsumi Shozuki and Chika Goto, topping off what has been a good week for Psycho Speed. Again, similar to Rhea Sato, who was in her first main event in Ibaraki, Misa Matsui getting her first main event pinfall victory after she pinned Rhea Sato with the MDK. Before we talk about the Darkness Revolution, and the interactions between, especially Misa Matsui and Natsumi Shozuki. Natsumi Shozuki, who apparently only knows how to wrestle in one gear, and that gear is kicks and knees. Chika Goto. Now, there was a tag match on the Ibaraki show, Miko Ano and Mai Sakurai versus Chika Goto and Natsumi Shozuki. And you can see that frustration in Chika Goto. She was the one who ate the pin in that match, and she's the very first one to step in before that brawl in Marvelous. She seems to want to be putting herself into these positions. She's frustrated when she's losing. She's wrestling a little bit more of a bit of an aggressive style. Where do you think we're going in terms of Chika Goto? Are we just trying to get her to a point where she wrestles Koki Amare again for the GHC Women's Championship, or do you think there's something else on the horizon for Chika?
I think just let her keep doing what she's doing and let the chips fall where they may. I don't think there's an actual really plan for her. It's like, let's just keep her going. Once Koki comes back, let's kind of wait and see, because again, her stock has risen up quite a bit. And I know she's eating a lot of losses, this year. She's looking at the lights quite a bit, but she's really improving in the ring. She's more aggressive. She's got more fire. She's got more fighting spirit. The crowd is really, really getting behind her, even though she's eating all these losses. And even when you're eating losses, when you're showing fighting spirit, Rob, you are still being able to get the crowd behind you. Very much like how very much like, I guess, former Marigold wrestler Naomi Ishikawa, because we haven't seen her in quite some time. So I guess since she's gone, they're taking the fighting spirit of Naomi Ishikawa and going to Chika Goto. No, I'm obviously joking, folks. But no, I'm a big fan of what she's doing here. This was a really solid enough match. Again, we knew going into this match that this is probably going to be another building block for Misa Matsui, and I thought her exchanges were great here with obviously her and Natsumi Shozuki have phenomenal chemistry. My only one complaint, I had no problem with the ref bump. I get it, because that's kind of what they do. You had match 1 and match 3 with the same finish, the European clutch. So that was my only little complaint, but I thought it was great that when the ref was put out of the way, and again, they're cheating. They're using a foreign object, but it's not in front of the ref, because I don't know how the ref got outside. I don't know. But when they do that spot where they lay the chair onto Natsumi Shozuki, and Misa Matsui comes straight off the top rope and just sticks the landing with the double knees into the stomach of Natsumi Shozuki. I was like, ooh. And I thought that should have been the finish, because 1, it's your big bump. And, 2, it's just like, well, then when the ref comes in, you get a 3 count, and you could be like, well, they cheated, but they didn't do it in front of the ref. And that was your biggest spot of the match. So I think that should have been, or that running knee, like the Kenta Bryan Danielson running knee we've seen Mason Matsui do.
Good.
I think that you had your 2 big spots there. You could have had that as the finish, but instead you kind of had a fluke roll up. I'm like, we're trying to get Misa Matsui over, and you just did the same finish in match 1, match 3. That's just my little nitpick. You always want to end your match on your biggest spot, and you had 2 of them kind of back to back there that would have worked. But regardless, again, this was a great match. Again, Chiaki was great. The cheating made sense. The chair shot wasn't as bad. There was Chika Goto did a good job eating it and then firing it back. And she did a really good job getting that Korakuen crowd behind her. And she's been over in that Korakuen Hall crowd since last year. So she's getting more and more over because she's getting better. And again, Natsumi Shozuki, she's phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic. And again, Misa Matsui, not only great in the ring, but the character work she's doing is really second to none. And it's going to be interesting to see where they go, because I got a feeling sooner than later that she's going to be challenging one Mai Sakurai for the championship, as you call it, Rob. But I believe it's called the United National Championship, or the Pure White Belt.
I think you're incorrect. I think it is actually the unchampionship. But what
We're
I
gonna
will
see a
say is
graphic here in just a moment, buddy.
we are just to prove my point. There's a just sort of looking back at what you've said, I do agree with a lot of it. I would love to see Misa Matsui incorporate that running knee as a finish because it's so good. It's easily the best one in Marigold. I like Kazuna Tanaka's, but Misa Matsui, the height she gets and the speed with which she hits it, it's so damn good. I thought the chair spot was horrible to take. It looked great, but I imagine it was not pleasant for Natsumi Shozuki to take. I quite like the fact that the ref was still out. Now, what I've noticed with quite a few different matches from different companies when you've got your heels who are taking the ref out, and we saw it actually in the main event as well, is the referee will get taken out, then the heels will do the spot, and suddenly the ref is fine and he's there doing the count. And what I quite like is the fact that Misa Matsui and Chiaki cheated. You know, the referee got taken out. You know, you're choking people with the tag rope, which I quite like. I haven't seen that done before. I quite like that. But the referee, they do their spot, go for the pin. The referee's still out. They haven't quite refined that cheating, and I quite like that. As for the finish, I agree. I think the European clutch worked better here. Simply because, as you mentioned, Misa Matsui is nailing this character work. We know she's phenomenal in ring. We know she's great. That exchange with Natsumi Shozuki, perfect. But you are trying to get her over as this, pardon my French, chicken shit heel. And I think sneaking a victory with the European clutch to get that first victory over Natsumi Shozuki is the perfect story to progress Misa Matsui, especially afterwards when the ref's like, where's that chair come from? And Misa Matsui's like, I don't know. Chiaki, have you seen this chair? Where's this chair come from? Chiaki's
There's
like,
911 chairs
don't
out there,
know.
folks. You know what I mean? There's 900 seats were filled. Come on. It could have came from anywhere. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's clearly defective as well because there's a part of it missing, ref. Come on, if anything, this is your fault.
It was a discounted seat.
Exactly. But I actually really like that. I think I do agree. I would have liked to have maybe seen a different finish in the Hummingbird Riara Nagisa Tachibana Ryoko Sakimura match, just so we don't have the same finish. However, I like the finish here because you are playing off that sort of heelish character that Misa Matsui is doing. I really like her and Chiaki as a team. Really, really like them. Also, we talked about Natsumi Shozuki and Mika Wano being the team going forward, heading for those Twin Star Championships. And commentary actually pointed this out that Natsumi Shozuki has teamed more with Chika Goto now than she has with Mika Wano. So clearly, this is the team, at least for the moment, going forward. And yes, as a star team, Mika Wano and Natsumi Shozuki would take some stopping. As a learning curve for Chika Goto, I think partnering her in the ring consistently with a Natsumi Shozuki is only going to aid her progress, isn't it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right, my man. We're interested to see where they go from here.
Absolutely. Well, we know where Chiaki and Misa Matsui are going, but we'll get to that momentarily. We then move on to the 6-woman tag, as yes, Chan Yota is indeed on that. I honestly don't know why on the notes on the website I haven't put Chan Yota's name, so I apologize to Chan Yota. But yes, her, Mirai, Mika Wano defeating the team of Nagisa Nozaki, Megaton, and Gigaton. And it's refreshing to know that even Nagisa Nozaki has no idea what to make of Megaton and Gigaton. Now, I like the gimmicks, not as anything serious, obviously. What do you think in terms of Gigaton, meaning we don't get Naoya Ishikawa on these cards? Because that's my one drawback to this. I think Naoya Ishikawa is tremendous in terms of her character. She's clearly invested in the Gigaton gimmick. Her work with Megaton is really quite funny. She's clearly invested in this gimmick, works really hard at it, and is over with the crowd. My one negative about this is that we don't get to see Naoya Ishikawa on the card. And I think with obviously the raft of injuries that we have had, and obviously Marigold are now coming out of the horrible tunnel of, thank God, Naoya Ishikawa would have been the perfect person to really be cemented as that mid-card wrestler that actually we seem to be shifting to Rhea Seto, which I'm happy about anyway. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. Again, she does a great job as this Gigaton character, but like you, and especially in this match, you already have your two comedic wrestlers in here. You already have Megaton in here, and then you're doing Gigaton, so you kind of already have that one void filled. Like this is, you're going to get mostly of a comedy match here, but now you're going to have two of the same. So it's like I'd rather see. Again, she's great at it, and it has its place in certain cards. But in Korakuen Hall, especially the fact she's so over in Korakuen Hall and main evented Korakuen Hall a few months ago with Sari. The Korakuen Hall crowd, very much like me, would rather see now Ishikawa proper than Gigaton. And again, especially in this match, and I think even commentary said, look at Nagisa Nozaki. She wants to be anywhere but here. I think what she meant is just like, I got Bozilla, I got Chiaki, I got Misa Matsui. I all in this faction. And who are they teaming with? Yeah, the person with the spiked hair and the person, again, if you're on YouTube, you can see it, the person with the Gene Simmons makeup. So it's like, regardless, this match was fun.
It was.
And it's so funny because like Megaton comes in and she's trying to do her shtick and nobody's like Mariah kind of steps back and she just lets Chanyeol and Miko on just beat the crap out of her. Like, poor Megaton.
It got really uncomfortable to us in a hilarious way.
Yeah, they just beat up,
brutalized her.
And then they do this spot where they kind of tear off Gigaton's clothes, which got a huge reaction, which again, she does now. Ishikawa, who may or may not be Gigaton, wink, did a really good job like selling the spot and putting over the comedy. And then Nagisa Nozaki eventually, like, I had enough of this. She comes in, drops the hammer. Eventually, though, it's the teamwork of Chanyeol and Miko Anna that take her out. And then again, since Mirai really felt bad and really wasn't beating up Gigaton, she's just like, you know what? I got this one lariat in the chamber, and I'm probably, since everybody else beat up, the two comedic characters in this, I'm not going to do anything until the last second. She just probably hits like the hardest hitting lariat you'll ever see on the Gigaton and got the 3 count. And
absolutely decapitates her with that lariat as well. Like you say about how Miko Ano in particular, who just absolutely destroyed Megaton. That is 3 months worth of frustration at not having been able to buy a win. That is right. I'm going to kick this clown in the back, and then Chanyota obviously as well. But yeah, that lariat, man, good God.
Yeah, I like how Mirai does her covers too after the lariat, where she properly like hooks both legs and then she sits on the opponent's chest and basically pulls back. Again, I always put over a really good cover. So fun enough match, 3.5 stars. It had its place because you had the comedy, but then at the very end you had maybe the hardest finish of this entire maybe I don't know maybe the Utami match, but I mean just like, yeah, it's fun, you get your stuff here, and then Mariah's like, okay, party's over, that's time to turn the lights on, you know what I mean? The party's over, and hits that lariat, gets the 3 count, and then we know why Mariah was booked the way she was, because now it's interesting thing, again, we'll get into it, interesting to see where we're going with Mariah. Again, fun enough match, 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I think that one thing I will say, obviously, we've talked, ad nauseum about the Megaton character and how, it is very much a character for a live audience. And she's over with a live audience. There's no getting around that. And she is entertaining. And Gigaton is incredibly entertaining as well. Obviously, the training in India that she went to after her Ibraki incident and breaking the cane and getting DQ'd. Clearly, that's worked well. But Nagisa Nozaki obviously played really well off these two. And again, the moments where she was in the ring with Miko Ano and with Chanyota and with Mirai were the best moments of this match. Mirai, bless her, had to eat that. Why is everyone using spray paint? Like, what is it with spray paint as a weapon? Stop using it, people. Good grief.
Bad for the ozone. You said a couple months ago, it's bad for the ozone.
Absolutely. I mean, that is perhaps the most heelish thing you can do is just destroy the environment with this spray paint.
Yeah, it's a DC comic books villain thing, Rob. That's what that is. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Yeah.
Moving on to the first of our 3 championship matches, then Mai Sakurai versus Arina Yamanaka. Now, Matt, we love a press conference here on the Marigold Standard and indeed on the Stardom cast as well. Love a good press conference, partly because they are absolutely insane. This one was no different, and it started with Arina Yamanaka showing just how good at yoga she was. Rossi Vice, by the way, very impressed. And then Mai Sakurai putting her in the Paradise Lock. and then the stakes being upped. Now, Matt, obviously, as you can see on the graphic there, the untitled was on the line. However, that faded into the background because the real stakes of this match were that should Arina Yamanaka win, Mai Sakurai would have to work at Arina Yamanaka's second yoga studio that she is opening. If Mai Sakurai wins, Arina Yamanaka must be Mai Sakurai's private yoga coach. Apparently, by the way, Arina Yamanaka's yoga studio, 200 members. Fair play. That is successful. That is really good. And she is very flexible. I was really intrigued about how this match was going to go. Because obviously Mai Sakurai's done some really good stuff. Really good match with Nagisa Nozaki. Really good match with Chan Yota last month. And Arina Yamanaka, we have not seen in a single setting. We've seen her in tags. In fact, we've only ever seen her in tags on the same side as Mai Sakurai. How is she going to command herself in a single setting, in a singles title setting against Mai Sakurai? And actually, I thought she did a very good job. Again, the match only goes just under 12 minutes. I think it's 11:55 it goes. So there's not a great deal of time, but she's very, very charismatic. She is very much over with the Korakuen Hall crowd. And I think the story they were able to tell was really, really good. And there was one moment where Arina Yamanaka is in a pin. And instead of just kicking out of the pinfall, she kicks out and wraps these ungodly long legs, like her legs alone are 6 foot, wraps them instantly around Mai Sakurai in this neck scissors and locks in a cross arm breaker. And just the transition from the kick out to that move was magnificent. Now, is this the best untitled match ever? No, it's not. However, for what they were given, 12 minutes, I thought Arina Yamanaka looked very good, extremely charismatic, real star power. Mai Sakurai, again, continues on this really good run with whatever you put in front of her, she is going to knock it out of the park.
Yeah, again, we weren't sure how this was going to go because we haven't seen much of Arina Yamanaka, especially in singles match. This is the first one. We made mention when we talked about this match coming up, like every single, again, the untitled or the pure white belt, as you want to call it, or United National Championship. Every single match has been an absolute banger. So we weren't sure we were going to get here. 12 minutes is a good enough time for the two of them to tell their story. And the fact that Arina Yamanaka is somebody that now is somebody that they can start pushing really around the card because he had a great match here. Mai Sakurai does a great job of leading the match here, which is just the good showing of a great champion. And they didn't waste any time. Like Arina Yamanaka comes in, she has like 2 reverse DDTs. Sakurai tries to go to retreat, very, very much like you would see in a boxing or an MMA fight where somebody gets hit with a bomb early on where they're trying to retreat. And Arina goes to the top rope and hits a picture-perfect dive. And Sakurai's really got to get down and dirty and really start throwing some bombs and some haymakers that she eventually busts open Arina Yamanaka. She winds up hitting a superplex. So it's just like, yeah, this match wasn't long on time, especially for a lot of these United National Championship matches that we see go plus 20 minutes plus. But this didn't need to. It told a really good story. Again, Arina kind of got the jump on Sakurai. Sakurai's have to play off the back foot. Eventually, she hits a couple of those big boots and the STF and the STO leading into the STF to get Arina to tap. Really smart strategy. Great psychology getting Arina over even in a loss because she had Sakurai on the back foot early on in this match. And a lot of it was Sakurai have to fight from underneath. But boy, when she started fighting back again, the fact that she accidentally busted open Arina, I believe it was with a slap, and it added to that visual to just show, one, how much of a badass Sakurai is that she can bust somebody open with just one shot, and 2, the fact that we know Arina can take a strike because she just kept going and going and going, and eventually Sakurai is able to get her into the STF. And I did like the quick tap out because, again, if you're ever watching a legit fight, somebody gets put in a submission, they're usually going to tap out pretty quick. So really good stuff. I had it at 4 stars. Excellent stuff. Again, this is just the showcasing of Mai Sakurai being to take anybody on the roster and have a really good championship match, being able to bring them up to almost her level. Again, that's a showing of a great champion that one Mai Sakurai is. And again, Arina Yamanaka, somebody that I'm really interested to see what they do with their going forward. And of course, Rob, got to make mention it, buddy. We saw the Goodwin elbow drop. We saw the Goodwin elbow drop. Again, solid match. 4 stars for me, my man.
Yeah, the progression in Mai Sakurai remains one of the most incredible things in Marigold. Arina Yamanaka, I hope beyond hope that she sticks around in the promotion, and it's not just a case of this is it and she's done now. Because in terms of star power and aura, the more reps she gets in a Marigold ring, she is going to be a talent. She really is. Now, Matt, I suppose we should probably talk about the Twin Star title match. This wasn't initially a Twin Star title match. This was initially just going to be a straight Marigold and Marvelous tag. We do need to talk about Senka Akatsaki, simply because she just seems to be constantly ready to go. Just has her gear on under absolutely everything, because we saw it during the invasion at Shinjuku Face. She just stripped down, gear ready, I'm ready to go at Nanae. We saw it again at the press conference where she came in wearing plain clothes, stripped down, gear ready to go. Is she the Clark Kent of Marvelous? Just constantly, there we go, gear ready, let's do this. It just seems to be every single time there's any sort of ruckus, she's there ready to go.
Rob, considering the fact that we're going to watch her wrestle Aja Kong live in a few weeks, can we call her Super Senka Kent? Is that how we should call her?
Absolutely. This was absolutely phenomenal. And you've got Takumi Iroha in this ring, who is one of the best Joshi wrestlers in the world. It's simple. She's incredible in terms of charisma, in terms of striking power, in terms of aura. Brilliant. Her exchanges with Nanae were just fantastic. They were so good. Sonny Gutierrez did a tremendous job of filling us in on the past between Nanae and Takumi Iroha and why it was so important that they were facing off. But for me, this match is all about the clash of the rookies, Seri Yamaoka and Senka Akatsaki. Now, I knew absolutely nothing about Senka going in, to the point where I had to repeatedly Google her name. And I'm saying it wrong, so I apologize. But I'm going to be watching a lot more of her because she was fantastic. I mean, we had shoot wrestling for the vast majority of the exchanges.
Shoot pins.
Those, oh my God, those shoot pins.
Greco pins.
Such a fan of that. She wasn't just doing this on Seri Yamaoka either, but she was doing them on Nanae, and both women, and probably both women, selling quite legitimately the fear of not being able to get out of these pins. But I just thought it was tremendous. It was so well done. She gave this passion, this fire, and to be honest, this might be just me. I thought Seri Yamaoka was brilliant, but I thought Senka out-wrestled her. I really do.
Almost legit. And I just want to point out, because if I don't say it now, I'm going to forget that it was either Sonny or Stu or both of them put out they talked about how Senka, her singlet, looks just like Chigusa Nageo's back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I was like,
again, they even said those little bits, yeah.
And they even said like that wasn't done on accident. I'm like, and who is the founder of Marvelous? Chigusa Nageo. So it was probably her idea, her blessing. So I was like, ooh, I never looked at it like that. And again, you can make an argument that she's the biggest, as far as star power goes, the biggest star in the history of women's Joshi wrestling is one Chigusa Nageo. But the fact that they basically have the same color scheme of singlet of Chigusa. And again, that's something. And Sonny and Stu were right. That wasn't done on accident. Senka's somebody that, so even immediately before the bell even rang, I'm like, oh yeah, they must have a lot of stock in there if that's what they're doing. And yeah, they the two rookies they started out. That was great. And you're absolutely right. The Nanae Takumi stuff was terrific. And again, we don't see as much Takumi Iroha matches as we would like, because one, Marvelous it's tricky to find, and two, we're just super busy with the Marigold Standard and the Stardom cast that sometimes some of the other Joshi promotions are tough to watch. But obviously we're massive fans of Takumi Iroha. The two matches she had with Mayu in 2020, phenomenal run in the 2021 5-star Grand Prix that led her to a Red Belt Championship match with Utami Hayashishita. That's a rematch that I would like to see somewhere down the line too, Rob Goodwin. So I liked how once Takumi got in there, and I was like, and I'm again, Senka I've never seen before, immediate fan. Obviously, I'm a fan of Seri Yamaoka and obviously Nanae Takahashi. But I was so excited to see Takumi Iroha in this match. And I liked how as soon as she gets in the ring, the tag team champions, they start doing double teams to try to bring her down. Makes sense, right? She's the big hammer in this match. You want some teamwork. And Takumi Iroha's like not having it. She takes a couple chops and all of a sudden spin kick, roaring elbow, head kick, like just the phenomenal striking that she does. And Nai Takahashi, She does a great job slowing Takumi Iroha down by going to the knee, the Dragon Screw leg whip, and going to the knee. And again, Sonny and Stu, kudos to them. They put over about Takumi Iroha's knee issues the last few years. So I thought that was great. Again, I love Takumi Iroha and Nanae Takahashi. She's like 6-7 weeks away from retirement, still putting on bangers of matches. Seri Yamaoka was terrific here, but you're absolutely right. They opened up Senka, opened up a lot of eyes, including this guy and you as well, and a lot of people. I didn't see this show live, but I had a lot of people texting me that yesterday morning, saying, "Wait till you see the tag match, especially the marvelous rookie. She was marvelous, pun intended, but she was great. Again, terrific stuff here. A lot of hard hitting, straight up my alley. Again, like shoot style, Greco-Roman style covers, both on Nanae and Seri Yamaoka. Excellent stuff there. Ultimately, it is that beautiful German suplex in the Ayakoya lock for the finish, and the fact they gave this time 25 minutes of great psychology, great hard-hitting wrestling, where I kind of figured we're going to have a retain of the titles here. But it kind of had me on the edge of my seat because I really wasn't sure. And because the way that it was built up and they made you believe, it's the believability. This was great, Rob Goodwin. Again, we say it all the time. It's another week in Joshi, another must-see tag match, because we're going to be saying about it in the Stardom cast when we record later this week, buddy, because there was a must-see tag match there. I had this at 4.5 stars. This was fantastic.
Matt Turner, it is one of those very, very rare days, and it's a match that I liked slightly more than you. 4.75 stars from me. There's nothing not to love about this match. We've got very much, we talked about in the alternate commentary. We just recorded the past and we've got the past, the present, and the future all in one ring. And bearing in mind that Seri Yamaoka has only just returned from a concussion, I think the beating she took at the hands of Takumi Iroha with those kicks, like you mentioned it, like the commentary team did a great job of talking about Takumi Iroha's knee injuries. But Seri Yamaoka has just returned from a concussion, and Takumi Iroha battered her. Like, again, we mentioned earlier, it became a little bit uncomfortable to watch this, this Joshi stalwart beat the ever-loving Jimmy out of Seri Yamaoka. It was so well-paced, this match. It was so... The rivalries that it rekindled in the case of Nanae and Takumi, and the fact that we may well have witnessed the ignition of a generational feud between Seri Yamaoka and Senka Akatsaki, who have said, like, we want to be rivals. We want, very much drilling home this rivalry that we want to connect. And again, they've said that a singles match is imminent between the pair. Hell yes. Hell yes. If this relationship between Marigold and Marvelous is going to give us matches like this, dude, I'm down. I am absolutely down. This is one of my favorite matches that Marigold have put on. It's one of my favorite tag team matches so far of the year. Every single person just played a fantastic part. And again, MVP, again, in a match where Takumi Iroha, who's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch, is in this match. And I'm talking about the rookie in this match. And she was tremendous. She was honestly so, so good. And Seri Yamaoka, who is the super rookie, who's been so damn impressive. And Senka Akatsaki has really, really turned my head and just like, wow. The fact that we are watching a match where we have Seri Yamaoka and Senka Akatsaki in the same ring, and we've got a feud coming between them, I'm very, 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 very excited. Obviously, a huge brawl erupted after this.
When Nanae was inciting, she gets the microphone and she was like, yeah, she manages me yelling passion. She was just like, you figured you're the elder statesperson, break it up. That's like, when a bunch of kids fight at the Little League park and the parents are supposed to break it up. And you have that one parent, the loudest parent, the passionate parent was like, no, let him go. Hit him harder. Hit him harder. That's what Nanae was here.
Dude, she basically just said, go on, attack.
Hit harder.
Yeah, go on. And the fact that her and Takumi Iroha are cutting promos as they're both beating people up and being beaten up is quite funny. But yeah, Takumi Iroha cuts a ridiculously passionate promo to the point where she can't talk. Senka Akatsaki is completely inconsolable. Her and Seri Yamaoka, again, have set up a singles match. there is every possibility that we're going to see Nanae and Seri in a marvelous ring. And then once everyone has vacated, we then have our next official challengers for the Twin Star Championships. And I laughed my head off at this line from Nanae. It's Misamatsu and Chiaki come out, challenge for the belts. That's going to be great. On the 25th of April, which is Marigold's next Korakuen Hall show. And Misa puts the challenge in, and Nanae turns to her and completely deadpan goes, "No, I'm busy till I retire," and walks off. I was like, that is the greatest response. That's tremendous. Basically, Misa Matsui and Chiaki then managed to get the title match by claiming that Nanae and Seri Yamaoka are running away from them. Seri Yamaoka agrees to the match and says, "Don't worry, Nanae, we're going to win." That seems to be a little bit of that's akin to someone in a horror movie going, "I'll be right back." Are we telegraphing a win? Are we looking at our new Twin Star champions? Again, we know that Nanae is retiring 24th of May at Shine Forever. Is this when they drop the belts? I'm intrigued. I think it's a good challenge. I think it's great to see Misa Matsui in the spotlight because, in case you didn't notice from when we were talking about her earlier, she's great. I'm intrigued to see where this goes. Moving on then to our main event. And again, bearing in mind that the crowd is utterly exhausted after this match, not only because the match is great, but then everything that goes on post-match as well. You would forgive this match for potentially starting slowly, trying to build the crowd back into it. No. It's Utami and Bozilla, so there was no chance of that happening. And the crowd ate it up. Full credit to Utami and Bozilla. Not only did they wake the crowd back up, but the crowd were absolutely loving this. Bozilla, by the way, coming out in new gear. That mask can stay. Like, I know that Vader. Is a huge inspiration on it. I'm just going to say a huge inspiration on it. Even more with the smoke coming out, looked incredible. And she looked and felt so imposing during this. And again, we knew that these two would be great. And we knew that Utami Hayashishita would launch herself across the ring to make Bozilla look good. And not that Bozilla needs help looking good, but you know what I mean, to really sell the brutality of what Bozilla was doing. And good grief, did she do that? We've mentioned it multiple times. Like, there's very few people in world wrestling that are as good at selling as Utami Hayashishita is, male or female. I think Mayu Iwatani is one of them, certainly. I think Daniel Bryan was brilliant, or Bryan Danielson was brilliant at it, but Utami Hayashishita is right up there in terms of selling. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The punishment she took at the hands of Bozilla here, really, really good.
I liked how Utami's on the back foot, right, in this match, because Bozilla's beating her. And she beat her a couple weeks ago. So it's just like, again, if you're looking at this as a shoot aspect, Utami's the underdog coming in. She's the baby face, and she's the champion. Bozilla dominates her in the beginning. And not only is that not bad enough, again, in the back of her head, I lost to Bozilla a few weeks ago. Bozilla's the dominant challenger here. She's dominating me early on, and now I have her friends out there jumping me, beating me up. So it's like, boy, what an underneath baby face story this is for Utami. She's got to climb all these hills now. Again, she's being overpowered. She's lost to Bozilla just recently in a tag match, and now I'm on the outside getting jumped by her friends. So she really has to rally, and rally she does. Air raid crash, the clothesline, the sliding lariat, German suplexes, really good stuff there. And then just as Utami's really starting to make her comeback, here comes back Bozilla. And then they wind up fighting on the apron. Which way is this going to go? And then they start throwing bombs, and Bozilla winds up hitting the same pile driver she used to defeat Utami, but not in the middle of the ring. No, Rob, on the apron. And if that wasn't enough, we're going to set Utami on top of the table. We're going to do a running senton through the table. That was a great spot. Now you're just like, oh, Utami just finally starting to make her comeback. And now we get two big moves back to back. Tommy's on the back foot again. How does she come back? By hitting a snap suplex into the second and third row, which Bozilla was just an absolute maniac for taking for, Tommy with that snap and just going through. And again, it makes sense because it's like big bump after big bump after big bump that Bozilla is doing to Tommy. And Tommy's going to make her comeback. But like, what can possibly be bigger than what we just saw? How about getting snap suplex through that row of chairs? I thought that was a really cool visual. We get back into the ring. We get a lariat trade off between the two. Tommy, it's a German suplex for two. Torture rack bomb, but the ref gets pulled. This is for a main event match in Korakuen Hall. I understand you want to bend the rules. This was a little bit too much interference for me. Torture rack bomb, the ref gets pulled out. Wind up going back and forth. Bozilla gets the advantage back because of more cheating. She's going to go for the moonsault. And I even said, we've seen leading up to these matches, Utami's hitting the German suplex and the air raid crash. My guess is, because this is the finale of these 5 or 6 matches that they had, that Utami's going to go over with the hijack bomb. So, and my guess was going to be she's probably going to do it while Bozilla's on the top rope, because you're not going to be able to deadlift somebody like that, because Bozilla is, much bigger, imposing person. So she hits the hijack bomb while Bozilla is going for the moonsault, which I thought was great. I'm like, okay, that's the finish. Tommy's not done. Tommy's not done. And again, folks, I'm going to peel back the curtain here. A lot of this hijack bomb, the second one, Bozilla did again, don't get me wrong, Tommy's very strong. We've seen it. Bozilla did a great job posting and getting up there for Utami. I thought this was a great match, that Utami was on the back foot early on, that once she got the advantage, she was on the back foot again. It just went to go show just how resilient that Utami Hayashishita is, and how much of an ass kicker she can absolutely be, especially in these big-time matches. This was a terrific match to cap off a fantastic show. 4.25 stars for me, my friend.
We need to talk about the press conference and the fact that Bozilla tried to legit kill Utami Hayashishita by choking her with a plastic bag. I mean, okay, sure. I mean, that's one way to get the championship. But what I do love is the fact that she tried to set Utami for the powerbomb during the press conference, and Utami was able to backdrop out of it and roll straight into a pin. And they teased that during this match, and Bozilla kicked out. That was really, really good. But yeah, the strength of Utami to get Bozilla up, not just for 2 hijack bombs, but also for the torture rat bomb as well. Really, really good. Both women, tremendous job here. Really, really good. And credit to Bozilla. She sent out a tweet basically about how much she respects Utami, which was, it's a really nice tweet. Go and read it. It's a really respectful tweet. And I know that we are possibly coming to the end of Bozilla's tenure in Marigold. She's going to be massively missed. Massively missed. She has been so good. She's improved so much. And she's a box office name, in my opinion, especially in Marigold. Can't wait to see her versus Megan Bain at Joey Janela's Spring Break. That's going to be insanity. Really excited. Really, really, really excited to see that. Post-match, Mirai comes out, and we've sort of been waiting for Mirai to make this play for the red belt. Okay, when is she going to make the play for the top championship? When are we getting Utami and Mirai? And Matt, we talked about how, we could have this arc where she loses and then goes all the way through to First Dream next year, and maybe she wins the Dream Star, and maybe they hold off on it till whenever. However, she comes out and she challenges, and Utami says no. And everyone's like, oh, right. And it makes perfect sense. Why would I give you the next challenge? You lost the number 1 contendership match to Bozilla. Why would I give you that challenge? And then it's pointed out, well, I did beat you in the Dream Star. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Next Korakuen Hall show, if you can beat me in a tag match, or if you can win in a tag match, then and only then can you go for this belt at the Shine Forever show, which of course is Nanae's retirement show, May 24th. Now, if that's your top match in that, as well as Nanae's retirement match, that's going to sell a lot of tickets, especially if, as many people predict, there might be a certain debut on that show as well. The show's going to be very... Because I think we've pretty much telegraphed that Mirai's definitely winning that tag match. Does she beat Utami and Yuyagi? I don't think so. I think this is a long story that we are going to tell. I think it's a long story, and we're going to keep building Mirai until we can't build her anymore, and it's going to explode when she finally wins the red belt. I wouldn't have her beat Utami. Utami is just getting started. This felt like the real start of Utami's reign for me. No disrespect to Tank or whatever, that felt very much like a filler defense. this was the start of the reign for me. Mirai is going to be a phenomenal. Utami versus Mirai, we know is going to be great. It's the match in Marigold. So I don't mind at all that we're going into that.
Yeah, probably your two best wrestlers from bell to bell in the company. Obviously, Miko Ano's there, but I mean, it's Mirai and Utami, and obviously this Nanae Takahashi show is going to be big. So why don't you put your two big best wrestlers, in there for said match? And then obviously, my guess Utami gets the win, and then maybe Mirai wins the Dream Star. Again, we talk about all the time. This is Rossi Ogawa booking 101. And we always the one to always point to, and there's a lot of different ones. The one we always point to is Shuri 3 months into that championship reign, beats Julia. They break Julia down, take Natsupoi away from her. She wins the 5-star. And if you remember, she lost the 2 matches in the 5-star. She lost to Hazuki and Mirai, builds herself back up, and then goes back and defeats Shuri. And it worked. Very much. You can pretty much do that with Utami and Mirai because they're just as good as Shuri and Julia from star power and in ring as well. So I think that's the way they're going to go. I think that, first of all, real quick, buddy, I always want to shout out Victoria Yuzuki because there was 3 championship challenges on this show. Victoria Yuzuki was the only one that accepted the one. So kudos to her. And I was like, no. Tommy's like, no. So it's like, kudos to one Victoria Yuzuki. If anything, this show put Victoria Yuzuki over because she's the only one accepting challenges. Real quick, partner, who do you think? Who's your quick prediction? Who's your prediction as who do you think Mirai's tag partner is going to be?
I think it's been announced. I think it's Mai Sakurai.
Oh, did they announce it? Okay.
At least I think that's what it was. I'm sure I read somewhere that it's Mai Sakurai and Mirai versus Utami and Victoria Yuzuki.
Okay. I was going to be wet because I know they said a partner of your choosing, so I just not a topping of your choice. Shout outs to my friends over there at the Marvelous podcast. I stole that joke from them. But I was going to say Kazuna Tanaka because you already have Yuzuki on one side. I thought that would have been interesting. But yeah, it makes sense. Why don't you go for Mai Sakurai? She's the second biggest champion in the company, your former tag partner that you won the tag belts with. So from a shoot aspect, yeah, that would make sense.
So that being said, then fantastic Korakuen Hall show, top to bottom, one of my favorite Marigold shows, I think maybe of the entire run so far. It was such an enjoyable show. Everyone came to play and everybody delivered. It was a really, really, really good show. Marigold are back on the 5th and the 6th of April. On the 5th of April, they run KBS Hall, beautiful KBS Hall in Kyoto. That card is as follows. You've got Seri Yamaoka versus Minami Yuki. You've got Ria Seto and Natsumi Shozuki versus Kazuna Tanaka and Ryoko Sakimura. You've also got a 3-way Hummingbird, Nagisa, Tachibana, and Riara. Also on that card, another blockbuster singles match, Passion Countdown, Nanae Takahashi versus Mirai. We've also got Miku Ano and Chika Goto versus the new number 1 contenders to the Twin Star Championships in Chiaki and Misa Matsui. And then in your main event, 8-woman tag, Utami, Mai Sakurai, Chan Yota, and Victoria Yuzuki. They're going to be taking on the Darkness Revolution team of Bozilla, Nagisa Nozaki, Megaton, and Gigaton. Matt, obviously, the big match there, for me at least, is the Passion Countdown, Nanae versus Mirai. Really interesting tag team match as well. Miku Ano and Chika Goto versus Chiaki and Misa Matsui, as well as the main event, obviously.
Yeah, really good stuff. Again, KBS Hall. Super excited for that one.
Looking ahead then on the 6th of April, we have got a tag team match, Natsumi Shozuki and Ryoko Sakimura versus Hummingbird and Minami Yuki. Nagisa Tachibana will be taking on Megaton in singles action. Megaton looking to build something of a streak of singles victories there. We will see. And then we've got Chika Goto versus Riara. And then on top of that, again, another blockbuster tag, Utami and Victoria Yuzuki versus Mirai and Seri Yamaoka. Yep, that's a decent tag match, that. You've then got Kazuna Tanaka and Ria Seto versus Chiaki and Misa Matsui, and then a 6-woman tag. You have got Mai Sakurai, Miku Ano, and Chan Yota versus Bozilla, Nagisa Nozaki, and Gigaton. Matt, there is no Gaze at Julia, I believe, this week.
No, our gaze at Julia is still healing up for some bumps and bruises. So she was not on the NXT shows these past few weeks. So I guess without any further ado, my man, I guess it's time to close the show.
It looks like we will be keeping our eyes firmly closed for this Gaze at Julia segment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed that show. If you haven't already checked it out, go and check it out. You will not be disappointed. Thank you to everyone for listening. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please consider subscribing on the podcast app of your choice. We are literally absolutely everywhere. If you haven't already, maybe consider leaving us a 5-star review and a comment. Helps us be exposed to even more people. If you want your episodes early and ad-free, sign up to our Patreon, stardomcast.com No, it's not that. It's patreon.com/the StardomCast. I will get that right one day. Where you can get all of the episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month, as well as going through all of our bonus content. There is hours and hours and hours worth of content up there. Check out the website, talkjoshi.com, as well as finding us on social media at Marigold Podcast, and on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, where you can find us at Talk Joshi. You can also find me at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Turner, where can they find you? Sign us off.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram, on the Twitter, on the Blue Sky, and as well as the TikTok. But if you want to shoot me an email, that's perfectly fine. I'm easy to get a hold of. We're going to tell you what the email address is right now. The email address simply is the StardomCast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another episode of the Marigold Standard. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do it without you, because like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because we're all together, everybody's different. Everybody's special.